let's explore 2 movies starring the brilliant Anne Hathaway and dissect how the characters she portrays end up so different from each other while both still being relatable and authentic. Mia and Andy. And of course, to demonstrate, I will mash together a new character using inspiration from what's discovered. Ready? Actors bring so much to characters, but the foundation truly begins with the writer. If you haven't already guessed, I'm a writer, and I want to share with you one of the ways I design a character. So, let me show you the Character Constellation. It's all of my favorite tools that I've used over the years that I've mashed together, because mashing is what I do. I love an idea, baby. Anyway, the Character Constellation helps me bring my characters to life. How? Well, it helps me, the writer, understand specific and interesting things about my character.
Shut up!
It provides an interesting overview of first impressions of my character, like what archetype they might be and any cliches they might embody. It also goes deeper into the nuance of my character, like how they handle personal conflict and what their inner conflict is about.
That's all.
I like to put my completed worksheet on display, so when I'm crafting the story, I can look at it and make sure my character is consistent and believable. So let's begin with the surface level stuff. What are archetypes? Archetypes are a way to categorize strengths, weaknesses, and motivations found in characters. I won't be touching on all the archetypes now, but you can go and enjoy this Lord of the Rings and Jane Austen mash, where I deep dive into some of the protagonist archetypes you might encounter in stories. What I do want to focus on is the fact that I personally like to understand where my character's potential archetype sits within the spectrum of other characters from other stories from the same genre I'm writing. Why? Well, it challenges me to hit or subvert the expectations I like about that archetype in a way that suits the story I'm trying to tell. And it also challenges me to omit the expectations I don't like about that archetype. Again, in a way that suits the story I'm trying to tell. Here's what you do. Pick one protagonist archetype and one villain archetype you think your character could be. Yes, even if your character is the protagonist, decide what kind of villain they would best embody and vice versa. I personally love to do this because this way I have covered both the positive and negative aspects of my character, giving me bouts of inspiration I may not have thought of. You can find the different types of archetypes online, or you can create your own list based off the movies you love. When it comes to Mia, at first glance, I think she's closest to the every person archetype. The every person lacks special powers or skills and are often unprepared for what's to come. They are hesitant when it comes to change, but can make the best out of most situations. Mia really is a relatable character who undergoes the most not relatable experience. I mean, who of us is going to be told we're Princess of Genovia?
Princess of Genovia.
When it comes to Andy, I think she's closest to the lover archetype. The lover typically leads with their heart, which they wear on their sleeve. They are passionate and show such conviction and devotion to another that they can neglect their own well-being. For Andy, she becomes so devoted to protecting Miranda, but it's really at her own expense. The archetypes usually come with a list of strengths, weaknesses, motivations, and traits. You're going to pick the most relevant one of each, the one that best describes the character you're designing. So for Mia, this looks like every person. I want to belong, humble, unprepared. Mia is so unprepared for those princess lessons. However, she's still determined to find out if that life is really where she belongs. So she perseveres. And it's truly her humbleness that shines through when she does decide what kind of person she wants to be.
Princess of
Genovia.
The bully. I want attention and power. Intimidating. Belittle others. The reason I think Mia might be this archetype if she were a villain is because she does get swept up in the attention and power she gets. And she also has the capacity to shut other people up and belittle others.
Mia, you're such a freak! You will never stop being a jerk.
For Andy, this looks like the lover. I want to make decisions from the heart, not the head. Loyal. Gullible. It's Andy's gullibility, and moreover the fact that she's so easily manipulated because she's so gullible, that any decision from the heart goes by the wayside. Her loyalty is inspiring. However, as we know, it does get her into trouble. The trickster. I will trick others into making bad decisions so I win. Wit. Intelligence. The reason I think Andy might be the trickster archetype if she were a villain is because she likes to put the blame onto others.
I didn't have a choice. Oh, you know how she is.
Please, that is a pathetic excuse.
She also has some sharp wit up her sleeve.
Is there anything else I can do for you? That's all. Okay.
And just for fun, pick one comedic archetype you think your character could be. Again, you can find comedic archetypes online. The buffoon. I've chosen this archetype because Mia is clumsy and awkward,
Just in case I'm not enough of a freak already, let's add a tiara.
often providing physical comedy. Yes, she's well-meaning, but her actions do lead to comedic disasters.
I'm so sorry. I'm...
The fish out of water. I've chosen this archetype because Andy has found herself in an industry she knows nothing about.
I'm still learning about this stuff and
This stuff?
Her attempts to adapt and learn create so many comedic moments.
And then go get Patricia?
For me, including all this surface level stuff on my character constellation means it becomes an important reminder for me to push beyond the archetype and be more specific. Because the more specific I can get, the more authentic my character will be. So your answers will now become some of the stars on the character constellation. What's next? Let's now be inspired by the great teachings of comedy. This concept is usually used for TV shows where there are lots of characters to remember. Now, you might not be writing a comedy, but the answers you come up with will still be useful for countless other genres. Let's start with the most. What is your character the most of? Are they the most neurotic?
Now, any rushing fluids? Are you woozy? How many stripes do I have? Answer the stripe question.
Are they the most forgetful?
Well, I forget things almost instantly. It runs in my family. Well, I mean, at least I think it does.
To help you answer this question, think about what you want to make your character memorable. What do you want to make us laugh with your character, not at your character? Mia is awkward. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong. Why? Because she's still finding her feet. And moreover, she's a quirky teenager thrown into a world different than her own. Andy is ridiculously affable. Even when those around her are not interested in anything she has to say, she remains friendly and agreeable.
You doing anything fun this weekend?
Yes.
What is the behavior they do most? Mia is such a scaredy cat. She will do almost anything to avoid the limelight.
Hey, Charles, do you want to be in the front?
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Andy is such a people pleaser. She will do almost anything to avoid conflict with others.
Good morning, Miss Gupta.
Morning, Lily. Lily's friend?
Mia believes she is supposed to go through life unnoticed. It helps her explain why people forget her name and sit on her.
Somebody sat on me again.
Really?
Andy believes she has an incredible work ethic. In truth, she does. But sometimes she can't see where her own shortcomings are.
You are not trying. You are whining.
What belief do other characters most have about your character? Her family believes she has what it takes to be princess.
Do you think she can do it?
Oh, I have no doubt, ma'am.
I thought so too.
Even her friend Lily comes around to this belief too.
Well, congratulations, you got your wish. I'm not gonna be a princess.
You're not?
No.
But I want you to be.
Seeing herself through other people's eyes is what gives Mia courage to keep going after setbacks.
And she held up the swimwear eyelash curler and said, "What is this?"
Everyone thinks Andy does not belong in the fashion world, period. Maybe they have valid reasons, but I really think Andy's self-expression changes for the better after this stint in the industry. What secret does your character keep the most? You know, I always wondered why a character like Mia would put so much time, money, and resources into a Mustang. Then it hit me. Her biggest secret is a desire for metamorphosis, not just physically either.
As always, this is as good as it's gonna get.
At the start of the movie, she does not believe it can happen to herself. But surely she can turn this old hunk of junk into something beautiful. It's why she calls it her baby.
I want to show you my baby.
She wants to nurture it into something grand, so she never says it aloud, but I think this is her most secret. As for Andy, the secret she keeps the most is that she's insecure, and sometimes what others say can shock her to her core, like so.
I said to myself, go ahead, hire the smart fat girl. I had hope.
Usually, Andy brushes away any slights with sarcasm and humour, hiding how she truly feels.
And then we brushed each other's hair and gabbed about American Idol.
I see your point.
Now let's put it all into a statement. My character is the most behaviour who thinks belief about themselves. They hide secret to prevent others' thoughts. Then do it all again for the least. The point here is to find more edges of your character. So you want answers that you will actually include within your story, even if rarely. This way we get glimpses of other areas of your character. What's next? This one is essential if you are writing an ensemble piece or have multiple characters to balance. But if you're dealing with a small cast, go ahead, do it anyway. You might discover something really interesting. Here's what you do. You're going to assign your character somewhere within the family dynamic. Watch this mash on The Avengers and Little Miss Sunshine to find out if your character is a sibling, pibbling, or pet. I like to include it because it's a good visual reminder for me to play with it when I'm developing my characters' relationships with others. Mia and Andy are the middle child. I think this is because they both struggle to carve an identity for themselves, and they share a competitive streak. Stubborn much, they're also experienced at negotiating and compromising, and they can mostly find ways to relate with others. What's next? Now we're looking at your character's likability, proactivity, and competency. You can do this on a scale of 1 to 10, or you can assign just 2 of the 3 elements to your character. I like to add this to remind me to find the appropriate reaction and response from my character in any given scenario. Mia could be described as likable and proactive. Her incompetency therefore becomes heavily featured in her characterization.
Right. Number 3.
Andy could be described as likable and proactive, but as her competency goes up, you could argue that her likability goes down, or that her proactivity goes down. She's really just letting herself be manipulated by Miranda at this point. Now it's time to go a bit deeper and into what makes your character tick. tock. Tickety tickety tock tock. This one is based off the character square exercise. You know, where each corner represents an opposing trait the character has, whether that is a fear, strength, weakness, true self. I don't actually remember where this exercise came from. I'm so sorry. If I ever remember, I'll put it in the description below. So for Mia, it might look like this: rejection, humble, immature, confident. And for Andy, like this: unworthiness, determination, easily manipulated, integrity. However, I like to be a little bit unconventional with the character square and uncover other complexities in characters with these questions. What sin does your character embody the most? That's right, we're talking about the 7 deadly sins. Greed, lust, gluttony, pride. What else is there? Envy, sloth. Check out this mash on Ocean's 8 and Fast 5 for a more detailed exploration into character design using the 7 deadly sins. It's so cool. If you don't like the question, what sin would my character embody? Why not ask, what aspect of the negative human experience does Mia indulge in? Well, she avoids getting out of her comfort zone. She likes to play it safe. Why? Because then she'd actually have to care and have convictions and opinions and all those scary things. So when it comes to a sin, Mia is sloth. Sloth is usually the avoidance of physical or spiritual work. For Mia though, it's the avoidance of change, but mostly the avoidance of herself. What negative outlook does Andy have that makes her accessible and relatable? She desires praise and affirmation from others, even when she does the bare minimum. Therefore, I say she is gluttony. Gluttony is the desire to consume more than one needs, and not just consume food, but consume experiences life can offer. It is why Andy so easily sells her soul to the fashion industry and to Miranda, the devil. She loves the attention and approval both get her. I mean, look at how happy she is when Miranda is pleased with her.
Fine. And Andrea, I would like you to deliver the book to my home tonight. And have Emily give you the key.
It's like a drug and she keeps going back for more. Describe the higher self of your character, whom embodies whatever sin you just picked. So what positive quality does your character have because of this sin? A character who is envy might be ambitious. A character who is sloth might be calm or relaxed. A character who is gluttony might be a risk taker. Mia is a daydreamer because she embodies the sin of sloth. Yet, at the beginning, her daydreaming is directed at more superficial things, but it is ultimately one of the qualities that allows her to see a new future for herself. Whereas Andy is supportive of others because she embodies the sin of gluttony. She understands the desire of ambition, so therefore admires it in others. This really shines through with her relationship with Nigel. She sees how hard he works and truly believes he deserves this new job. Describe the lower self of a character who embodies this sin. So what negative quality would they no longer have if they did not embody this sin? A character who is sloth might no longer be apathetic. A character who is pride might no longer be narcissistic. Get it? If she was not sloth, Mia would no longer be a flight risk. She could put herself forward for scary things, like public speaking, rather than literally running from her problems. But then we wouldn't have a story.
Where is she going?
The tower.
Mia, you can't run from everything.
She has a tower.
If she was not gluttony, Andy would no longer be stubborn. Stubborn meaning only wanting what's best. And if she were not stubborn, the story would miss out on these fits of rage and frustration. How does your character demonstrate their sin? So describe 2 ways your character might act when they are indulging in their sin. A character who is sloth might be passive or petty. A character who is envy might be begrudging or overshadow others. A character who is pride might be peacockish and self-indulgent. Mia as sloth acts avoidant and self-interested. She's avoidant when she's upset with someone and self-interested when she blows off Michael.
So I was thinking I could come by the garage next week and listen to your band play then. All right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Andy, as gluttony, acts flirtatious and debonair. She's often flirtatious with her boyfriend, but even more debonair whenever this guy's around. Amazing! Your answers now become more of the stars on the character constellation. Woo! What's next, Tickety Boo? You know, we're about to get a bit more intimate with your character. This one is based off the character map. I'll put it in the description below. It is a series of questions that prompt interesting character revelations. Anyway, when it's completed, it will look like this. What is your character's mask? Another way to ask this is, what is the greatest misconception others have about your character? Heads up, it's not really who they are, and this mask will be peeled away throughout the story. Let's ask, what mask does Mia wear to protect herself? She's shy. We know this is only a mask because with her mother, she can be quick-witted and outspoken.
You try living for 15 years thinking that you're one person, and then in 5 minutes you find out that you're a princess.
However, with other characters, her shyness makes her docile and quiet, like she wants nothing more than to slip into oblivion. Other times she gets so flustered she rambles. This shyness also makes her a bit of a fidgeter, like all that unwanted attention needs to be expelled somewhere, somehow. What persona does Andy portray to others? That she's nice.
Well, you seem nice.
Turns out I'm not as nice as you thought.
Yes, Andy is actually a kind person, but she always acts nice because she wants others to think that nothing, especially Miranda, can get her down.
But I can't let Miranda get to me. I won't.
This way, she believes she's less likely to appear bad at her job. She does claim to have an excellent work ethic, remember? But one of the best examples of the mask coming off happens early in the movie. Andy is keenly frustrated at Miranda during her interview, and her niceness slips.
You're right. I don't fit in here. I am not skinny or glamorous, and I don't know that much about fashion, but I'm smart. I learn fast, and I will work very hard.
I've got the exclusive.
What's behind it is what makes Miranda hire her. Genius. What is your character's fear? So, what fear drives or fuels your character's mask? Sometimes characters deny they have this fear. Sometimes they can temporarily manage this fear. Sometimes this fear gets them into trouble. Let's ask, what doubt must Mia face in order to be her true self? I think Mia has a fear of standing out because then she would actually have to stand for something. Then that would lead to acceptance and rejection because not everyone is going to agree with her.
I would be so afraid that I would disappoint the people of Genovia, and I couldn't bear to disappoint you again.
What anxiety prevents Andy from becoming her true self?
I just have to stick it out for a year. 1 year.
She's afraid that if she quits working for Miranda, she's wasted all this time. The dreaded sunk cost fallacy. Think of when Miranda threatens to fire her unless she can produce an unpublished manuscript.
Quit? Are you sure?
I failed. She's gonna fire me anyway. I might as well beat her to the punch.
Andy believes she is defeated, but voila!
You didn't.
Oh, yes. Friend of a friend does the cover art, and she happens to have the manuscript.
Her anxiety truly comes to play in this moment, and she decides to keep her job. So her fear might be that she does not want to be unworthy. Who she is and what she does has to mean something, or why bother? What is your character's strongest trait? So what quality does your character rely on to keep their fear at bay? Let's ask. What qualities bring a false sense of pride to Mia? She seems to really like the fact that she's invisible. That's one.
My expectation in life is to be invisible, and I'm good at it.
However, and stay with me here, Mia likes to think of herself as a loyal friend and loyal family member. It's why she gets so up in arms when her best friend and family aren't the same in return.
I don't have a family with either one of you because you ignored me for 15 years and you lied to me.
Her loyalty to these people is coming from the heart. But these few relationships could just be a band-aid to her fear, really. Why try and put yourself out there when you know Lily and your mum will always love you? Eventually though, Mia starts to bring more people into her loyalty fold, and it's a beautiful thing. What quality does Andy lean on to get out of trouble? Like I mentioned earlier, Andy uses sarcasm to hide her discomfort.
Great, can't wait.
Excuse me, can we adjust the attitude?
It often rubs other characters the wrong way. Her gullibility too puts her into some rough spots. But a positive strength that causes problems is her empathy. It's how Andy gets sucked into Miranda's world. Just watch.
Another divorce. Splashed across page 6. I don't really care what anybody writes about me. But my girls, it's just so unfair to the girls.
What trait does your character admire in others that they do not have yet? Or in other words, what trait in others motivates your character to remove their mask and become their true self? What would Mia need to be whole and healed? Conviction. She needs to believe that she will complete what she set out to do and not run at the first sign of danger. She gets to see this quality in her grandmother throughout, particularly in this scene where Clarice knights 2 members of San Francisco to get them out of trouble. Clarice truly commits to the bit, and you can see she has her own back.
You were awesome. You are the coolest queen ever.
What trait is buried inside Andy that will help her reach truth and integrity? The answer? Integrity.
Bet 1,000,000 girls would kill for that job.
Yeah, great. The thing is, I'm not one of them.
Andy had a form of it at the beginning. She really clung to who she wanted to be. The problem was she was belittling others in the process.
And the clackers just worship her.
The who?
They call them clackers. The sound that their stilettos make in the marble lobby, it's like clack, 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 clack.
On the other side of this journey though, she understands the beauty within the fashion industry and stops making fun of it. She regains her integrity, and from this place, she feels like she can redeem herself for her past actions.
I have all these clothes from Paris. I was wondering if you could take them off my hands.
Nigel is full of integrity. He's nothing but honest with her and oozes a passion she wished she had. Seeing how Nigel holds himself really teaches Andy how to do it too. What trait gets your character into trouble? Think about it this way. How does your character usually get into strife with others? With what trait does Mia sabotage herself? It's her dishonesty. She can so easily lie when she needs to for practical reasons, but this urge to lie to avoid revealing how she's truly thinking and feeling can get her into trouble. This scene with her grandmother is a prime example.
I'll have Joseph pick you up at 7.
No. I promised I'd let my mom drive me. You know, she wants to drive me to my first ball or something.
What trait has Andy stumbled into or create a destructive situation? Andy is determined and does rely on this trait when she's in trouble. But to get out of trouble, Andy likes to blame others.
I kept trying to leave, but there was a lot going on, and, I didn't have a choice.
She refuses to take any accountability for her actions throughout most of the story. Why? Because if she owned up to any responsibility, it could prove how unworthy she is.
I didn't have a choice, okay? Miranda asked me and I couldn't say no.
I know, that's your answer for everything lately. I didn't have a choice. Like, this job was forced on you. Like, you don't make these decisions yourself.
She only surrenders to the truth of this behavior during the resolution of the movie. Rather than it proving any unworthiness, it proves that the power lies in her own court and not somebody else's. What trait can your character not abide in others? This becomes your character's dark side, because usually what they dislike in others, they dislike in themselves. How does Mia sink into her most selfish or worst self? Mia gets swept up in the attention and agrees to go with Josh to the beach bash. But in the process, she blows off Michael and forgets to tell Lily, her best friend, that she can't make it to her cable show. And when things go pear-shaped, what's Mia most concerned about?
My foot didn't even pop.
So my answer is that Mia's dark side is self-absorbed. What type of person is the antagonist calling Andy to become? Well, Miranda is a person who stomps on other people to get ahead. And Andy, misguided and manipulated by Miranda, also crushes Emily's dreams of going to Paris. So my answer for Andy's dark side is that she is a backstabber. Brilliant! So these answers on your character diamond now become the final stars in your character constellation. Here's Mia's. And here's Andy's. Ooh. Okay, let's smash. For my new character, I will take these elements from Mia. And I will take these elements from Andy. So now I can clearly see the first impressions of my character, and I can see how they approach interpersonal conflict, and I can see what their inner conflict might be. The character constellation is never set in stone. I often make changes to it throughout the various stages of writing. It's all part of the process. How did you go with your character constellation? Please let me know in the comments below. Until the next mash, bye! God damn it, that teapot's still sticking out of my head. That's better. Archetypes are a way to Archetypes are a way to categorize. Should have dusted. Whip your hair back and forth.